60% of homeowners in Florida could pay $0 in non-school property taxes by 2028. Now, before you start making any plans on how to spend all that extra money, stick around for just a little bit, because there's actually a little catch buried in that amendment that maybe you've heard about in the news. That could mean you get none of it. In today's video, I'll explain to you exactly what this amendment is all about, how it really works, and how you could potentially benefit from it should it pass this upcoming November. If you're new to the channel, hi. Please allow me 10 seconds to introduce myself. My name is Maximilian. I'm a local real estate expert here in Palm Beach County. My team and I, we've helped hundreds of families buy and sell down here. And the goal of this YouTube channel is to hopefully provide local expertise and value to you so that you can plan your next move with confidence. Contact info is below if you want to reach out. All right, let's get back to the video. So here's the deal. Your homestead exemption, the chunk of your home's value that's shielded from property taxes, has been stuck for many years actually at $50,000. And that is while home values in the state basically went through the roof. So this new amendment, HJR 1F, it's gonna be on Florida's ballot this November. And what it would do is it would essentially take in a first step that exemption from $50,000 to $150,000 in 2027. And then the following year in 2028 to $250,000. Now, hold your horses, it needs 60% approval from all voters to pass. And so whether you already own here, you're circling the market, or you're getting ready to take action, this really changes the math dramatically in my opinion. So let's get into who this actually helps, how you can benefit for it before it's too late, and what this could actually be worth to you in real today's dollars. All right, here's a two-step jump. So $50,000 in homestead, that's what we have today. $150,000 starting in 2027, and then $250,000 starting in 2028. After that, it's going to be indexed to inflation every year after. So that's basically 5 times the protection that homestead owners have today. But this exemption only applies to the non-school portion of your property taxes. So in other words, school taxes are carved out completely or untouched from this amendment. But still, for most homeowners, we're still talking about roughly 40% of your property tax bill. So this is not a no property tax amendment. This is more so a no non-school property tax, if you will. So in the end, still a big number, 40%. So let's get into it. Okay, let's make this concrete. Say you're closing on a house in Boca, $750,000, and you're gonna homestead it. So if you close by or before December 31st of this year, you gotta file for your homestead exemption. That's the key here. Then you're going to be on the fast track to benefit from this amendment if it passes. So roughly speaking, that homeowner would go from currently, say, roughly $13,500 in a year in property taxes. So that dollar amount would go down in 2027 to just about $12,300. And then the year after in 2028, closer to $11,000. That's when the full exemption, the $250,000 exemption that we just talked about, would hit. Now, here's the part that should actually change your calendar if you're considering making a move. So close on that exact same house just 3 weeks later. So in January 2027 instead of December 2026. And you would be considered a new resident under this amendment. So you would get stuck on the old $50,000 exemption for the next 5 years. So instead of writing that number down all the way from $13,500 to roughly $11,000 in property taxes annually, you would get stuck on the $13,500 until about 2031. So add it up, I mean, that's something like, give or take $10,000, $11,000 extra in property taxes that you would be paying over the next 5 years, just because of 3 weeks. Now, if you think about it, that could actually be the down payment on your next boat. Quick disclaimer, since I just threw a bunch of numbers at you. So the numbers that we've used, they're estimates, and we've used average combined millage rates for these areas that we talked about. Your exact tax bill would obviously vary somewhat from these averages. So if you want to have exact information on your particular case or your property, what I would recommend is you can run your address through the local tax appraiser's website. There's an online calculator, or you can talk, of course, to your tax professional for advice before you make any decisions based on this video. But I hope you can see that directionally, if this amendment really passes, there is going to be a really nice chunk of change coming your way. So the question everyone is asking now is, can Florida actually afford this, since this is a real cut to local government revenue, obviously? And here's my personal take on this. So Palm Beach County's property tax collections, they went up from roughly $4.2 billion in 2020 to a projected $6.5 billion this year. Now, That's a jump of roughly 40%. And just for further context, overall property values didn't go up by that much. They're more, roughly 25% up compared to 2020. And so trimming property taxes back to a reasonable basis, that is what this amendment is actually, in my mind at least, really responding to. Quick word from our sponsor of today's video, me. I would like you to know that we have put together a Palm Beach neighborhood guide. And if you're right now in the process of maybe reviewing what part of the county would make sense for you and your family to stay long-term, I think that guide will probably add a lot of value to that. It's completely free. If you want to go check it out, the link is down in the description. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. All right, let's get back to the video. So here's something most folks, maybe even longtime Florida residents, they don't really fully understand or maybe even know about. There's actually a second, older Florida law that works alongside the Homestead part that we just talked about, and it's called Save Our Homes Act. Now, that part targets more specifically portability, and in my mind, not knowing about it is probably the reason why a lot of folks think they can never afford to sell their home here in Florida and downsize, because they have the working assumption that making a move, selling that property, buying something else after that would entirely blow up their property tax bill. And so if this speaks to you, you might want to stick around for just a little bit longer, because I think it's a little bit too soon to be writing off your downsizing plans entirely. All right, so far we have 3 things to walk away with. Number 1, we talked about the Homestead Exemption, and then it goes from $50,000 to $150,000 in 2027, and then to $250,000 in 2028 if that amendment is passed. And it could really zero out non-school property taxes for the majority of existing homestead owners. Number 2, the closing date, and even more so, the filing date for your homestead exemption matters more than people realize. Yes, you can save thousands of dollars, but you have to stay within the deadline, and you have to file for your homestead exemption before then as well. 3, Palm Beach County's tax collections have genuinely outpaced inflation since 2020, which is the real backdrop driving this whole debate about property taxes and increasing the homestead exemptions. So come November, this will be up for vote, and it needs 60% of voters approving of it on November 3rd in order for it to pass. Obviously, nobody has a crystal ball, but I would be shocked, to say the least, if Florida residents vote against getting thousands of dollars in property taxes back. So picture this time next year. Either you're one of the homeowners who planned ahead and took advantage of this opportunity, or you're still on the sidelines and maybe wondering why you waited at all. In my experience, the difference between these two groups usually boils down to having the right information at the right time. And so that's what I'm here for. If you're in one of the 3 following groups, I think I might be able to help you. Okay, number 1, so if you're a first-time home buyer here in Florida and you're trying to figure out if now or January maybe makes more sense for you, well, that closing date is not a small detail. It's actually real money on the table. Oh, and by the way, if you're renting in Florida right now before the deadline, that does not qualify you under the rules of this amendment as eligible. So if you want to know more and how you can benefit from this, and reach out, and I'd be more than happy to walk you through it. If you're out of state and thinking about making Florida your primary residence, retirees, I think this might be especially for you, establishing residency and filing for your homestead before the December 31st deadline is, in my mind, your single biggest lever when it comes to this amendment. Grab our relocation guide, links in the description, is completely free. And so here's a third case. If you already own here in Florida and you've maybe quietly been assuming that you're stuck because selling and downsizing would reset your tax bill to full market value, well, the good news is it doesn't quite work like that. And here's how. Florida has a portability rule, and under that rule, it actually lets you carry a big chunk of your accumulated tax savings from your current home onto your next home. And that can be sometimes up to $500,000 worth. Now, it's not really dollar for dollar, so if you're downsizing, but it's a lot more than most people assume. And maybe even paired with this new exemption that we just talked about today, who knows, it might make that move that you've been thinking about maybe more appealing. So whichever of the 3 cases may apply to you, if you have questions or you would like to address a specific concern maybe with the pro, just text or email me directly. I answer those myself, and I'm happy to be a resource to you. If you would prefer to talk strategy, maybe about your particular case, scan the QR code on screen and grab a time on my calendar, and I'll be happy to jump on a phone call with you. So that's it for today. As always, thank you so much for watching and for spending time with me here today. If you feel like today's video added value, it would help us tremendously if you could hit that like button and subscribe. In any event, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.